morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we are bringing you the very first game from the Dragon Gym Challenge. We've got Bird Keeper Toby, him with over 200,000 subs on YouTube. Lovely dude, big deal. We have got David Hochmann, who has been everything from a top-level player to a top-level judge, to a top-level commentator, to the leading authority on the Unlimited format. We've given Toby the grass typing. He's got a Rillaboom focus deck. We've given David the darkness typing. He's got all kinds of crazy weird stuff going on. And I love it. And we are ready to go. Remember, this tournament is not sponsored by Dragon Shield. This tournament was put together by Dragon Shield. This is their baby that myself and Stefan Eriksson are rolling along with as well. There's all kinds of links in the description to follow me, follow Stefan and Toby and David and all of that. But do remember that the point of this is that it is the Dragon Shield Dragon Gym Challenge and that they are using Dragon Shield products, mats, sleeves, etc. There are links in the description to go and buy them from TCGPlayer, the website that I'm recommending you go ahead and use for this. So do make sure you go ahead and use those links if you're interested in those products. Either way, sit back, grab yourselves a nice cold beverage, and enjoy a really rather fun game. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we are off. We've got Toby on the bottom, we've got David on the top, and we are off and rolling. Toby, of course, being the grass player, David being the darkness. Having both players record separately over Skype, this was I think the best we could come up with in terms of a solution of how to get the most real estate on the screen. So Toby starts with a Ditto Prism Star. Good, it can evolve into anything. He gets himself a Deerling, I want to say, on the bench. Have I forgotten Deerling's name already? Nah, pretty sure it's Deerling. And gets a Grass Energy on. Now, Sawsbuck does have a 2-energy hit and run attack, so seems like what he's going to be setting up for. And he does get a Chaotic Swell down. That's the one, so now if David plays a stadium of his own, it will get discarded without actually doing anything. That's going to be useful. So David plays Lysander Labs, and it does replace Chaotic Swell, but then gets immediately discarded. Of course, David has started there with a Darkrai Prism Star. Honestly, not the Pokemon you want to start with. You want to use the ability, but hey-ho. Toby gets a Chinchino and a Sawsbuck rolling. Remember, Sawsbuck's ability will allow Toby to draw one extra card every turn. That's a good thing. And Chinchino's ability will allow Toby to discard a card from his hand and draw two, which really is going to give Toby a fantastic amount of choice as we go through the game, just in terms of being able to draw what he needs. Now, he does get a second energy onto Sawsbuck there. He gets a Lily's Pokédoll down onto the bench. Not able to get Sawsbuck into the active, though. So David gets another energy on Darkrai, plays himself an Erica. He's drawn a couple of cards. It's not the best use of Erica we've ever seen, but he does at least draw some cards. Gets Spiritomb down. That's the one that can self-damage and do extra damage for each damage on it. So one would imagine that shortly David will be placing a damage counter on it. Plays a Quick Ball, dropping in a Alolan Persian down. Lets him search for any basic Pokemon, and he's got a whole bunch of options in his deck. It might be an Eevee here, because one of the best cards in his deck is Umbreon, so dropping an Eevee now, so that he can evolve it into Umbreon in the future, would be a very, very good idea. Of course, it's his first search of the game. He's also going to spend a few minutes here. Well, not a few minutes, that's ridiculous. But spend a couple of moments just searching through for what he wants. See what's prized. Now, he's actually got himself a Galarian Zigzagoon. When he benches it, he gets to drop one damage counter on one of his opponent's Pokemon. And he's chosen to just drop it on the active Chinchino. Of course, that is one of the really cool things you get when you're playing Darkness at the moment, is that you get that Galarian Zigzagoon. It's only an extra 10 damage, but that can really add up over the course of a game. So it looks like we are back over to Toby now. David, unfortunately, doesn't have the energy he needs to attack, because that Darkrai Prism Star is really not cheap. Hey-ho. He has, what we got? We've got an Evolution Incense. Now, Toby has managed to record where we can see his hand really well, so that's kind of lovely. He He drops a big charm to draw 2 with Chinchino. Does beg the question whether David could see his hand the whole game, but good sport all round, ladies and gentlemen. We picked lovely people for this. So we do see a Pokemon Communication and an Evolution Incense. And what he's going to do is... looks like he's going to drop a Shaman. No, what's he going to do? Okay. He's going to get himself a Thwacky, pop it back into his deck with Pokemon Communication to get himself a Grookey. It's not the best way to get yourself a basic Pokemon, but this is one of the reasons why so many people play Pokemon Communication at the moment. Yeah, fine, there will be times where you have to do an awkward situation like that, but actually you get what you need. He wanted a Grookey, he got a Grookey. Now, he's also gone and got himself a lucky egg onto that Chinchino. So if Chinchino goes down this turn, Toby's actually going to draw until he has 7 cards in his hand, which is going to be a phenomenal advantage. Now, as his supporter for the turn, it looks like David's gone and got himself a Professor Elm's Lecture. It's going to allow him to search for 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less and put them into his hand, which means he's going to be able to get all of those Pokemon. No, sorry, Elm puts them straight onto the bench. No, it doesn't. I'm lying to you. It does go to the hand because you can use it for evolved Pokemon. There aren't many, but there are things like Pidgeotto, for instance. I was testing Granbull for ages with that. Never ended up being good, but hey-ho. And now you would imagine he's getting at least one of those EV. Remember, in the format we're playing at the moment, you are limited to 2 of any particular card, so that Spiritom's awesome, but he's only allowed to play 2 of them. So he gets himself Ditto, Prism Star, Alolan, Meowth, and a Minccino. Of course, Chinchino, we talked about this in the intro video. Minccino leads to Chinchino, and Chinchino is just one of the awesome draw engines we've got. I don't expect to see much Pidgeotto in this tournament because Chinchino is just better as a stage 1. I do expect to see a few people play an Oranguru. We'll see as we go through the games. And it looks like David is again being forced to just pass the turn because he just doesn't have a way to attack. I mean, 4 energy on Darkrai Prism Star it's too much. It's just too much. You want to be able to play it with 2 energy already on it. But hey-ho. So we do see Green's Exploration being discarded. Oh, was he trying to play it? I don't know if he's discarding it with Chinchino. Not allowed to play Green's Exploration because he's got a Chinchino on the field and he's got Sawsbuck on the field. Can only be played if you've got no abilities on the field. Really good in the early game as long as you don't start Ditto Prism Star, but when you get to this stage, not great. Now, he does get a big charm onto Sawsbuck to get a bit of extra HP going on. He retreats his Chinchino, and then, like I say, we got a hit and run attack on Sawsbuck. 2 energy, 60 damage, switch to the bench, and of course, he's using this so that he can take advantage of Lily's Pokédoll. Because with Lily's Pokédoll, it's in the active, it's a Pokemon, but it doesn't give up a prize when KO'd. And we are in a format with much, much lower HP. He'll be 1-hit KOing a lot of evolving Pokemon. He'll be 2-hit KOing a bunch of others. Most others, to be fair. Whilst whacking up Lily's Pokédoll. Yeah, you can only play 2 of them, but you can still play 2 of them. So make no mistake about it. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing to do. Good work, people. Good work. So, he's not been able to get his Rillaboom out yet. That's the main thing Toby's going for here. Toby wants his Rillaboom. Rillaboom lets you search a deck for 2 grass energy during your turn and attach them. And obviously, Rillaboom itself hits 140. Most of the for 4 energy. And most of the time, that's fine, not great. But in a format like this, 140 is huge. And yes, 4 energy sucks, but it doesn't really matter when you can be evolving up. So he does put Lily's Pokédoll back on the bottom of his deck, whacks his Sawsbuck active, and he is, it looks like, just going to be shy of a KO here. Remember, Darkrai Prism Star, most of these basic Prism Stars are, they're kind of beefy, if I'm honest with you. Darkrai Prism Star's got 160 HP, so it's still got 40 left at the moment. So, still in a little bit of a stalemate here. We've not actually seen a prize taken by either of the players in the game so far. Presumably, at some point, somebody will. One would imagine. Now, you'll notice that David has been just getting the damage on that Spiritomb as we go. It's now actually up to 4 damage counters. 5 would be the maximum. And 4 damage counters means it's doing 130 for a single energy. Again, in this particular format, it's kind of nuts. It's kind of ridiculous. So, once again, Toby, Toby's not lacking in draw power here. Because he's got the Cinccino, because he's got the Sawsbuck, hasn't hit a rare candy yet. He does get a Heracross, the one from Lost Thunder, gets an energy on there. But Heracross only is really good when you've got a stage 2 on the bench. So again, Heracross becomes really good once he gets his Rillaboom out. Until then, it's a little bit underpowered. 120 for 2 energy if you've got a stage 2 on the bench. So, and that's, stage 2s are a little bit awkward in this format. Well, like I said earlier, we're limiting players to 2 of any individual card, other than, of course, the obvious basic energy. So what that means is, you really have to be extremely careful here, because it's kind of 1 in 30 cards rather than 1 in 15. Now, Toby does take the first KO. He uses Sawsbuck to KO the Darkrai Prism Star here. And remember, as a Prism Star, it goes to the Lost Zone when KO'd and cannot be recovered. I tell you what, I do love these mats. Sorry, I know I sound like a shill right now and I don't even really care. They are beautiful mats. Check the affiliate links in the description. But seriously, I'm loving the mats. Kind of might have to get one of these mats. One of myself, I'm one person. But yeah. So David here's got some decisions to be making. Sorry, that really did sound shilly, but it's just, come on, look at them. Anyway, so David's decision here of what he's actually going to go for. I mean, Spiritomb is a really good attacker. The question is, does he want to waste it? He's got his Spiritomb rolling. Now, if he's got an Energy and an Umbreon, then Energy and Umbreon is probably the one he wants to go for here. Umbreon, and I adore Umbreon. I've played this Umbreon a lot. I love Umbreon as a Pokemon, but I like this one. Oh, and he's got the Umbreon and the energy because he's playing Rosa here. If you had a Pokemon KO'd last turn, find yourself an energy and a Pokemon and a trainer card. I expect people to be playing Rosa in this format. Because what we've got is a situation where there's no multiple prize Pokemon. He's actually getting himself a Lanoon, an Energy, and a Lysander Labs. So again, you've got to imagine he's already got the Umbreon in hand, given that he's already promoted the Eevee. Which means that everyone's taking 6 prizes to win. So things like Lucky Egg that we've seen Toby playing and Rosa that we've just seen David drop, they become especially good in this particular format. So there comes the energy, there comes the Umbreon. If a Pokemon was KO'd by damage from an opponent's attack during their last turn, this attack does 90 more damage. So that is going to be easily enough to KO the Cinccino. Now, Toby has got a Sawsbuck in hand, but he doesn't have a Deerling down. Now, he has got a rare candy now. Did he get it out of his prizes? That's the other thing. If you're limited to 2 of each particular card, prizes become particularly nasty, and he did. So he's got the rare candy, and he's got the Rillaboom. Now... So at this stage, Heracross becomes a really good option, because Heracross is going to hit for 120, and... I think he's got 2 energy on, but even if he hasn't, he's got Rillaboom to search for the energy. He's got the rare candy and the Rillaboom already in hand, waiting to evolve up. So, okay. Now, the reason he's putting Shaman active is because Shaman's got free retreat. And it is genuinely a really, really good habit to get into. Always put your free retreat Pokemon in the active, even if you know what you want to go for. There is no reason, unless your opponent is blocking you from retreating, there is no reason not to put your free retreater active, because maybe the top deck you get, or the card you draw, or Sawsbuck, or whatever, changes your mind. So he does use Rillaboom's ability here to get a couple of energy onto Shaman. Shaman is a really good attacker. We'll get to Shaman in a moment. And then the Heracross becomes active here, and the Heracross should be doing enough damage to get a nice tidy one-hit KO on that Umbreon. The thing to remember here in this kind of format is this is where we get to. We end up with when we have a bit of time to set up like we've had in this game, we start off with the KOs, and then it just becomes who can keep them up. David can get one-hit KOs with Umbreon and with Spiritomb, and Toby can get one-hit KOs with Shaman and with Heracross and with Rillaboom. Not so much Sawsbuck. But then it becomes, and Toby does take the KO and take a prize there. And it is Professor Magnolia, which it's pretty good. Discard your hand, draw 7. Professor's Research Magnolia if you want to be pedantic. So now the Spiritomb becomes active. You'll notice David has kept 4 damage rather than putting the 5th damage on there. There's no reason to put the 5th damage on. He doesn't know if Toby's going to be able to do damage to the bench. And why not leave it so Toby has to do 20 to the bench rather than 10 to get a KO? David can always put the 5th damage on right before he's about to attack. So once you've got 4 damage on that Spiritomb, there really is no reason to put the 5th damage on using the ability until you're literally about to hit for the maximum amount of damage. Not that David needs to here, of course. With 4 damage counters on, he's hitting 130. Heracross has 120. And the tool he's got is an escape board, not a giant charm. So David's got the KO quite nicely here. And it does look like we've had another Galarian Zigzagoon come down. David just drops the 10 damage down onto Rillaboom. No real reason to put it on Rillaboom at this exact moment. But, oh no, there most definitely is. Well, it depends on, and the Spiritomb's not going to stay around. Spiritomb with 4 damage does 130. So, I don't know. It's really just poking away. Now, one of the things that David has got rolling here is his Galarian Obstagoon. Now, Galarian Obstagoon is a legitimate metagame card at the moment. It is one of these Pokemon that actually sees a huge amount of play in the metagame generally. But the best thing about it is that it can be vulnerable to basics, much less of an issue in this format. Of course, he did get to drop 3 damage counters when he evolved up, which put the Rillaboom onto 4 damage counters, which puts the Rillaboom down to 130, and now it's actually in range of a 4 damage Spiritomb, which is pretty huge. It's actually really huge. Like I said, the 10 damage earlier was kind of by the by, but the 10 damage plus the 30 damage when faced with a 4 damage Spiritomb, that is when we start getting up to the numbers. And I assure you, David has done those calculations in his head. So, we know David's got the KO here. The KO isn't the issue. It looks like David's dropped a Marnie. No, it looks like he's dropped it using Cinccino to draw a couple of cards. So he does get the KO there. Heracross goes down. And Toby needs to start worrying a tiny bit here, because he's still got 4 prizes left to take. Now, so has David, and Toby's going first essentially here. And he's already got the energy on the Shaman, but presumably he's going to take the KO this turn with Sawsbuck. Oh man, Lily's Pokédoll would be amazing right now to stick in the active, try and turn the prize trade in his favour. Both players incidentally are playing Lily's Pokédoll. And you got to think he's going to get the KO with Sawsbuck. There's no reason to leave his Shaman Prism Star in harm's way. But Shaman does 20 damage for each basic energy attached to all of your Pokemon. And it's not building up as fast as one might like. Certainly that Galarian Obstagoon is, big, shall we say. Very, very big. As is the Rillaboom, to be fair. So, he's got the Rillaboom for a KO, and he's got the Sawsbuck. And to be fair, he's got the Shaman if he's got enough energy on the field. But David's playing a lot of single energy attackers. Of course, you can ask the same question of David here. Where's David's next KO coming from? Having said that, that Ditto could become an Umbreon, and that would solve that problem. Or indeed, just use that Lily's Pokédoll to buy himself a turn. That would also work quite nicely. Okay, so back comes the Shaman. Up goes the Sawsbuck. Takes out the Spiritomb. Now, is Sawsbuck a you have to switch, or you may switch? Let me just double check the wording. You may. Okay, I did think it was a may, but I had to double check. So Toby is choosing to leave Sawsbuck in the active here, and I agree with this. Rillaboom's a stage 2, not easy to get out. Shaman is a Prism Star. Oh no! Looks like we got a Cinccino in the active instead. Now Cinccino, you don't want to lose a draw power, but it is quite nice to be able to take out Lily's Pokédoll while accelerating a little bit of energy. Because remember, Cinccino's attack ain't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Now, David's got another Rosa here, and he's... I mean, again, he could just go Umbreon, Energy, and a Trainer card. Depends what trainer he wants. What he could have done here was use Lily's Pokédoll to put itself on the bottom of the deck, promote the Ditto, and then use Rosa to grab Umbreon, Energy, and the Lily's Clefairy to just go ahead and basically already have that down and ready to roll. Not to say you have to, but certainly an option that he would have had. So where are we here? David's making his decisions with Rosa. Okay. So he's got himself an Ordinary Rod, an Energy, and an Umbreon. So, and again, Ordinary Rod here becomes absolutely huge. We're limiting the players to 2 of each particular card. Ordinary Rod recovers 2 Pokemon, and it's an item card. And you're only allowed to play 2 of each Pokemon. So being able to recover 2 of a particular Pokemon with Ordinary Rod is ridiculous. So. Oh, did he play the reset stamp? Or did he drop it with... I think he dropped it with Cinccino to draw cards. So now the Lily's Pokédoll goes back into the deck. Up comes Umbreon. And Umbreon then just takes out the Cinccino. Now he does have a Sneasel on the bench here, which is very, very cool. It's going to be very interesting to see where he goes with this. Okay. There are decisions to be made. Now again, that Shaman goes active, that's easy. The question that Toby's starting to ask himself now is, where are my KOs coming from? Now, Shaman has probably got enough energy to take a KO, but Toby needs to take 4 KOs. Sawsbuck is 2-hit KOing. Sawsbuck I love for the draw, I love for the early game, I love for weak Pokemon. I think Sawsbuck has an awful lot of utility. I don't love Sawsbuck in the mid game when my opponent is 1-hit KOing. I don't like it at all. Now, the good news is, we've now got a Heracross in the active. Can he use... Now, in theory, Rillaboom gets to 2 energy, Heracross hits 120, and with Rillaboom and Heracross, I love this. I really like Heracross. Again, I don't love it in every deck. Yeah. The problem is, he just hit for 60 with Sawsbuck, and that's how the Heracross got in the active. The problem I'm finding here is that David is ahead by a prize, and now Toby slipped into 2-hit KO territory. And I think that was really the turning point of the game. David can build up his Obstagoon, which, to be fair, at this stage of the game... Oh, no, it's weak, isn't it? That is one thing to remember. Sword and Shield Darkness Pokemon are actually weak to Grass. So that actually makes Obstagoon quite... It's the only real one in the deck, but that does make Obstagoon a bit of an issue. But remember, pre-Sword and Shield, they're weak to fighting, so I don't think Toby's got some huge type advantage here. Okay, so up comes Obstagoon. The thing to remember... no, okay. I don't think David really cares at this stage. Because... that Obstagoon can be taken down by Shaman. It can't be taken down by Sawsbuck. But it can be taken down by Shaman. It can be taken down by Rillaboom. But David at this stage is just going, you know what? I don't really care. I've got a Spiritomb ready to go, and I've got a Sneasel, and I've got my Lanoon already, so I'm kind of feeling this. So he does play a Cynthia to give himself a new hand of 6, but the point we've gotten to in the game here, very simply, is just that David's got the Pokemon ready. David is in a position. David's been able to keep up the KOs. Like I said, Sawsbuck, love it. But Sawsbuck usefulness ran out, and the problem is that Toby didn't have the backup at that stage. He's not been able to stream those Heracross in the same way that David has been able to stream the Umbreon and the Spiritomb when he needs to. And they're the key Pokemon in this matchup. David really wants to be using Umbreon and Spiritomb to get 1 energy KOs, and Toby wants to be using Heracross and Shaman and things of that nature, basic Pokemon accelerating energy with Rillaboom and going. And I just don't think he's been able to pull it off well enough this game. And if we now look at the two sides, bearing in mind David is 2 prizes ahead, I think he's got this first game. Now Toby is able to go and get himself a Grookey. And to be fair, Shaman, we got what? 4 energy on the field? So that's 80 damage, doubled with weakness is 160, so that's alright. So it should be fairly easy for Toby to get a KO here. I don't even see how he wins even from there. He takes a KO, and then David takes a return KO with probably Spiritomb. Now, it looks... Are they forgetting weakness here? Because I don't think David's got a weakness guard energy on that Obstagoon. The other thing to bear in mind, David has got a Black Market Prism Star out. We haven't even mentioned that yet. So a Darkness Pokemon with Darkness energy attached gives up 1 fewer prize. In this case, it doesn't give up a prize. And you'll notice that David waited out in the early game, waited till he thought he could play it down without it being removed. And now Toby's actually not taking any prizes, even when he takes a KO. Although I think that Obstagoon should have taken 120 from Sawsbuck, because there is weakness there. But I don't think it's even an issue at this stage. David, it looks like, has taken game 1. And for Toby, one of the lessons in game 2 is very simple. He has to save a stadium for Black Market Prism Star. I don't care how much he wants a stadium. He has got to have a stadium ready for Black Market Prism Star. Now, I did listen to a little bit of cheeky audio here, and what Toby's basically doing is counting his energy and going, I'm not playing enough energy. It looks like I'm playing enough energy. I thought I was playing enough energy, but I am not playing enough energy here. It's just not working. But that's all right. We've had game 1. We're moving on into game 2 in just a moment. David is up 1 game to 0. And I don't know if Darkness, and there we do flick into game 2. I don't know if Darkness is just the perfect type for David. I don't know whether David was destined to have Darkness or something along those lines. All I know is that David is absolutely making the best of this. He's got all of those weird little tricky Pokemon, and it's really working very, very well for him. So it looks like Toby here is getting himself a Pokemon Communication. And he's getting rid of the Rillaboom. That Rillaboom ain't doing anything for the moment. Probably will in the future, but it's not doing anything for him right now. And he's going to get himself a much more sensible basic Pokemon. Looks like he's getting himself a Grookey. Of course, Grookey's going to be pretty important as we go through the game for evolving into the aforementioned Rillaboom. And we did see in the previous game, right, that the Rillaboom is, it's fairly important, shall we say. The Rillaboom is pretty gosh darned important. Now he gets himself a Cinccino here with an Evolution Incense. There is an argument not to do that on turn 1 in case David drops a Reset Stamp or a Marnie, both of which we know he plays. but he's got it ready for next turn now. So he is passing over to David. David's got an Eevee in the active. The Eevee is largely irrelevant. It's there to evolve up into Umbreon. Having said that, he is actually in a position here to potentially use the Eevee, which we don't see very often at all. For anyone that's wondering, it is an Eevee from Cosmic Eclipse. I say and because there were two of them. And one colorless energy, you search for a supporter card. It's fine. Now, David actually is playing the Black Market Prism Star now, which might show us that he's actually going for... Oh, okay. He might be using a Magnolia or something else. He might have had to discard it. Oh, no, I think he actually discarded it with Quick Ball. I think that was his discard. So he must really have nothing else in his hand he wants to get rid of. Because if Toby runs out of stadiums, that's an auto win. Now he uses energy for the turn to retreat into Alolan Meowth, who takes out Ditto. That Alolan Meowth, for anyone that's wondering, I adore that Alolan Meowth. I've made many a deck with that Alolan Meowth. For 0 energy, if you go second on your first turn, it does 70 damage. It is made for situations like we just saw. Now, one of David's thinkings for discarding the Black Market Prism Star is probably it worked really well game 1. And the problem is it's extremely easy to counter. Keep a stadium. Make sure you've always got a stadium in hand. So for that reason, David's probably sitting there thinking, look, I got away with it and that was lovely, but I don't actually think I'm going to get away with this again. I don't think this is going to work again. So rather than hope it works, I am just going to get rid of it turn 1 with my Quick Ball and off we go. But it might have been that his hand was such he could not afford to get rid of anything else. Now, the good news is he's actually got his turn 1 Rillaboom nice and early. The bad news is that Rillaboom is a 4 energy attacker. Oh, now he does have Heracross, who's a 2 energy attacker. The question is, does he have anything he can use to get Heracross into the active? Because one of the things about Rillaboom, yes, you got a gigantic HP and that is lovely, but also you've got a gigantic retreat cost, and that is not lovely. He's got a retreat cost of 3. Okay, so he's got the energy onto Rillaboom here. Looks like he's got a Chaotic Swell and a Lucky Egg. But that's not going to help him out. So he's actually already behind. David's up by a prize and it's back to his turn. Now that Galarian Meowth is now garbage. It does 10 damage for 0 energy. And I mean 0 energy is fine, but also by the same token, nobody really cares. What David wants is a Alolan Persian. Not a great attacker against Toby's deck, let's be fair. But for 0 energy, you do 90 damage. Minus 30 for each energy attached to the active. So if you can catch a Pokemon with 0 energy, it's pretty awesome. The reality is that we're actually going to see Umbreon coming out in the future instead. So, he did do 10 damage, because why would you not? We now have an Evolution Incense, which presumably is going to get Toby his Sawsbuck. There we go. And he is at the same time also grabbing 2 energy for Rillaboom's ability. Something to be said for efficiency here. And now he's actually attacking. And this isn't a terrible position to be in. Because now he's hitting 140 damage. And he is going to be smashing through David's deck. And the thing is, yes, that Umbreon might hit 120 for a single energy, which is good. But also, Rillaboom's got 170 HP. Or 160 with the 10 already done. That's not ideal. Now, if David were able to get a Galarian Zigzagoon and a Galarian Obstagoon, drop 4 damage down with the 10 that's already been done, and then attack, yes, but that's not possible this turn. Of course, there is a significant downside for Toby here, and the significant downside is this. We're limiting players to 2 of each card. So if he's got a Grookey or a Rillaboom prized, or a Rare Candy, then he's not getting a Rillaboom anytime soon. He can just go Grookey, Thwacky, Rillaboom, but if he does that, it takes a lot longer to do. So, I love the attacking with Rillaboom here, in that he does a huge amount of damage. I'm not loving the attacking with Rillaboom here, in that it's an extremely valuable stage 2, and oh, look what David's got in his deck. Now, he's got an energy retrieval, and he's got a Guzzlord. We did not see that in the first game. Guzzlord here, well, Guzzlord for 4 energy does 120 damage. It's fine, if a little bit expensive. But if you KO a Pokemon, you take an extra prize. And yes, obviously David plays Beast Ring in this deck. What I'm going to do, I've chatted through with some of the competitors. I'm going to show you the loser's deck list every game here, except for the final where I'll show you both. So you can see all of the deck list. So whichever one of these players is unsuccessful this round, I will just pop their deck list up on the screen at the end for you lovely ladies and gentlemen to have a look at. So, we got Rillaboom's ability again, and here's the thing. I can already see where this is going. Because what's going to happen is, Toby's going to KO Umbreon, go down to 4 prizes. That is then going to activate David's Beast Ring. We assume, he's already got an energy on there. So if he goes Energy Beast Ring, that's 4 energy, goes and gets a KO on the Rillaboom, takes 2 prizes. Oh, now this play I like a lot. This play I like a lot, because he is getting a KO using Heracross here. He is saving his Rillaboom so he can still use it again next turn, which I like. And let's face it, anything on Toby's side of the field, David can KO with Guzzlord for 2 prizes. So it's in Toby's best interest to try and protect his more valuable Pokemon, and that's what he's doing here. I approve. I approve. So, where are we to? The thing is, and again, Beast Ring becomes a phenomenal card in this format, because one of the things with Beast Ring is it only works if your opponent's got exactly 3 or 4 prize cards remaining. But in a single prize format where you're only allowed single prize Pokemon, your opponent will have 4 prizes remaining and then 3, unless they just never take enough prizes, which means that Beast Ring becomes a far better card. I can't tell you that all the players are going to be playing Ultra Beast, and certainly some typings have better Ultra Beasts than others, but in this particular matchup here, David is really taking advantage of the Ultra Beast. Should Toby be playing Pheromosa or Kartana? Probably not, if I'm honest with you. I mean, I don't mind the Pheromosa from Forbidden Light. No, that Pheromosa rotated, didn't it? No, it didn't. It was from Forbidden Light. We're good. Even so, David's now got the 4 energy, as we knew he would. Plays a Marnie. He's now going to be taking 2 prizes off that Heracross, and he's going to be down to 3 prizes remaining straight away. And he's got an Eevee on the bench ready for another Umbreon, and he's got a Spiritomb with 2 energy on, and it really does look like David's doing what he did in the previous game, except with added Guzzlord and Galarian Meowth. And you'll notice that David's deck is doing what we would expect in a tournament like this. I'm only allowed to play 2 of each Pokemon, so I'm going to play a bunch of tricks. I've got my Alolan Meowth / Persian, and I've got my Guzzlord, and I've got my Spiritomb, and I've got my Umbreon. And if you look at his bench, he is always thinking, what am I using to take the next KO with? He's always got that rolling. And he's doing it extremely well. Now, Toby, for his part, I love his deck. And I love that he's got the Shaman there, which is that going to do enough? And Snorlax, I love me some Snorlax. He's got great draw power in his deck. He's gone for Rillaboom for the energy acceleration. He's got the Heracross, which is his version of Spiritomb or Umbreon. But I'm not sure if Grass has the typings to really come against something like David's got here. Darkness certainly has a lot of tricks, and David is using them to great use. Now, one of the things that Toby has done brilliantly here, he's got rid of the Guzzlord. Because Guzzlord can KO still anything on Toby's board, other than maybe the Snorlax. And he's still taking 2 prizes for doing so. Toby had to stop that. He had to get it off the board. Is it going to be enough? Maybe. I mean, he's got Ordinary Rod there trying to get his Umbreon back. Again, Ordinary Rod in this format is ridiculous. Plays himself an Evolution Incense. He's going to either get a Chinchino or an Umbreon, one would imagine. Could go Lanoon to get a Zigzagoon, but no. Chinchino is the right call here. Just gets him a little bit of extra draw power as we go through the game. Makes perfect sense to me. Is entirely sensible. And he is ahead at this stage. Now, if we have a look at the Shaman Prism Star there, Shaman Prism Star comes in with 80 HP. That is not much. So, with 1 extra damage on the Spiritomb, which we know David can do whenever he wants, Spiritomb will be hitting 100 damage for a single energy. That'll take out the Shaman, put David to 2 prizes remaining. But there's another Spiritomb. And there's a Galarian. Oh. Yeah, you can see where David's going with this. That Rillaboom now has 30 HP remaining. You'll notice a couple of turns ago, I mentioned how David could go Zigzagoon and Obstagoon and then get a KO, although it wasn't possible at the time. Yeah. The thing is, David can take a KO this turn. And then I don't know if he plays Rare Candy, but if he can get an Obstagoon out, that's going to KO the Rillaboom, plus the KO he's going to get with Spiritomb here, plus 1 more KO, and that is the game for David at that stage. So he has put the final damage on and 1 damage on the bench. Then he gets an energy onto Spiritomb. And the biggest issue we've got here, plays a Lysander's Lab, just get rid of the Chaotic Swell. The biggest issue here is we can see where David's remaining prizes are coming from. And Toby's done all right here. He's been taking a bunch of prizes throughout the game. Toby has been clearing David's board a bit. He's been taking prizes nicely. But I don't see where Toby's final 3 prizes are coming from right now. I think he's probably got to attack with Rillaboom here. Because he knows the Rillaboom is going down to a Galarian Obstagoon, you might as well attack with a Rillaboom and just make David KO it in the active. But... oh, okay, I like that Big Charm. Big Charm does the same thing here as well. Gives an extra 30 HP. And remember, although we are getting Tool Scrapper back in Rebel Clash, Tool Scrapper is not in the format at the moment. The only thing that gets rid of Tools is Faber. And there's nothing to stop the players playing Faber. We ain't banned it, but I would be extremely surprised if I saw either of these players drop a Faber right now. So, yeah. So down comes the Heracross here. Okay, now this is looking better from Toby. Because now he goes down to, I believe, 2 prizes remaining. He's got his Heracross there, which has 1 energy. So, but then he needs a stage 2. Heracross is only good when you've got a stage 2. And Toby's stage 2 is going down here. Which means Heracross isn't going to be a good attacker. I think David wins this in 2 attacks. Now, that... see, I think you can even KO with a Spiritomb at this stage. Because you got 200 HP with the Giant Charm. There's 140 damage on. 2 energy on Spiritomb, 30, or 2 damage, 30 for each plus 10 base is 70. I believe Spiritomb will get the KO here. And then Toby's back to doing, to be fair, he can still then get the KO with Sawsbuck. And then if he got a Grookey down next turn as well, maybe in the future he goes Rare Candy. Oh, it's awkward. Yeah, there we go. So goes for the Lanoon here. Now I really like this play because Lily's Pokédoll comes in with 30 HP. But Toby can put it in the active to stop David taking a prize. So what David can actually do is use Galarian Obstagoon with the damage, the cheeky damage, to take out the Lily's Pokédoll and then force Toby to put an actual Pokemon active ready to be KO'd. Okay, this I like. Gets the KO with Umbreon. He's got the Spiritomb ready there. And as we suspected Toby might, he whacks a Lily's Pokédoll up. The other thing is here that Toby has nothing that can KO the Umbreon, whereas a Spiritomb would have gone down to an attack from Sawsbuck. So I think this has absolutely got to be the right call here. But I'm not sure Toby's got anything left that can win him this game. And that will be the match, unfortunately. He also has no energy at the moment. But he does have Professor Magnolia, which will get him a new 7 cards. Got to imagine he's going to see an energy here. Oh, wait a second. He's actually not drawn an energy. That's ridiculous. Has drawn a Professor Magnolia. But, yeah. So hits for 60, whacks Lily's Clefairy up. But that shouldn't... No, it depends if David's got the Galarian Obstagoon here. But if he does, then he should be able to win the game now. Nope. Okay, saving himself a turn. That's okay. The route to victory was drop Galarian Obstagoon, pop an energy on the Spiritomb, retreat the Umbreon, KO whatever Toby put active. But that would have been Snorlax, wouldn't it? And Snorlax has enough HP to survive. So both players here just going, you know what, let's slow it down. We can slow this down a little bit. We'll be all right. It is the Snorlax from Sword and Shield that has 150 HP. So, yeah. David can KO it with a Spiritomb, but he does need the full 5 damage counters on to do so. Although if Toby drops a big charm, I think he's used both for this game. But if Toby were to drop a giant charm or a big charm, it would then actually save him because Spiritomb caps out at 160. But just surviving isn't going to be good enough. The problem is, Toby needs something that can start one-hit KOing, and Snorlax can. Snorlax hits 130 for 4 energy. It's a really good basic attacker when you've got your Rillaboom going. And Heracross can. It's a really good attacker when you've got a stage 2 on the bench. But neither of those things are true right now. And David's only got 1 prize left to take. And like I say, that Lily's Clefairy isn't really going to save him because, yeah. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are in the final moments of this game. I mean, Toby, he can bench Lily's Clefairy and then put one on the bottom of his deck, KO David's active Lily's Clefairy with Sawsbuck, and then end up with basically the same position we're in at the moment, but David doesn't have Lily's Clefairy active. But I don't think it's going to save him in this game. I think, and then Toby's put up a really good fight here. He's down to 2 prizes remaining. I think he's done everything he could have done, but I just think at the moment, it's not. I think we've gotten to the stage where Toby might be out of options. And I think that is a concession. As he flicked his prizes, we've got a thumbs up and we got a thank you. And yep, that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. We'll be back with more rounds in the near future. Thank you to Dragon Shield. Check out the TCGPlayer links in the description. Comment, like, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at @TheWossy. All the links are in the description. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio. Yay, I did it.